Hi, I'm Rochelle of Alley Row Designs. I'm the row in Alley Row. I'm wondering if you can also speak to how does design and the arrangement of the physical space lead to the physical and social well-beings of employees, whether at home or in the office. So maybe speak directly to some home space hacks or different work from home spaces.
Sure. In our webinar, we had a lot of them in that webinar, and we really, what it boils down to is kind of three categories when we think about the home. The same principles are going to apply that I just talked about in the home, but we know everybody's home and work situation is very different. So some people might be in a one-bedroom condominium in the city, where somebody else might be in a detached two-story home in the suburbs. So really, everybody's got a different situation, but those three categories seem to be the most prevalent. So when we look at those three categories, we look at them as multi-purpose space, dedicated space, and enhanced living spaces. Those multi-purpose spaces are some of those spaces that I alluded to in the last question, where you're taking one of your living spaces and you're creating two different spaces within that space. So the space still needs to function for your family, but you've also included for a small work area or workspace within that area, that space. So it could be a living room with a workspace tucked in a corner. It could be your dining room. It could be your kitchen, where you've actually been able to create a workspace within that space. Bedrooms too. I talk to a lot of people from their bedrooms where they've actually put a desk and a chair and a monitor arm, and they've got the whole setup in their bedroom space. The next category is the dedicated space. So this is one where you do in fact have a enclosed space, whether it's a den or even a spare bedroom. A lot of people are using their spare bedrooms and converting their spare bedrooms to dedicated space. And this dedicated space is the only purpose is for it to be your workspace. And in some cases, those workspaces are being shared by other people in the family. So whether it's your spouse or your children who are online learning, sometimes, although they are a single purpose space, multiple users are using this dedicated space. And then the last space is the enhanced living space. So that's where you're modifying like your kitchen island to be your space that you're working, or maybe it's your dining room table, or even your living room. And those spaces are really great secondary spaces. They're great spaces to change posture throughout the day. So if you have your main workspace and then you have these other secondary spaces that you can go and change your posture, stand at the island and work for a bit, or even at the dining room table or in the living room, it's a great opportunity for a lounge posture change. Those enhanced living spaces are really great secondary spaces. And just by adding like, a tablet table, somewhere where you can connect to power so you can charge your devices, you can work longer, or even just be able to adjust the light. We forget about the importance of adjusting light and how it actually affects our ergonomics. If there's glare on your screen, then you're going to probably be moving your body around to try and mitigate the glare. But if you have control over the light in any space that you're working on to be able to eliminate that glare, then you're going to be able to work in a better posture for longer. So really looking at these spaces on how can we make them more comfortable so that people can work longer and be more productive in those spaces.
Julie, that's so helpful. Thank you so much. I think my last question, I've spoken to a lot of employees who are concerned about their connectivity and miss the office environment for that reason. Are there ways that employers can use design to maintain that employee engagement and connectivity while they're apart from their colleagues? Maybe both Anne and Julie.
Sure, I'll take a stab at the first part of that. So, internally, we've talked about this work from home being a very successful technology experiment. And it's been very successful. People are being productive. People are being able to do their focus work. So as we look at the return to the office, it's really important that employees feel connected no matter where they're working, whether that's from home or at the office or potentially a satellite office. About 10, 15 years ago, maybe the last recession-ish, there was a push for people to work remotely, to work from home. But there was a sense that these people who are being asked to work from home were kind of banished from the office, or that they were less valued than those people that were going into the office. So the experiment, let's call it that, 10, 15 years ago didn't work, and it was quite demotivating. People felt disconnected from the office. When you joined a conference call, or even as we evolved into video conferencing, it really wasn't an acceptable norm, or you felt left out in a conference call because there was conversations going and you didn't know what was being said. So now the whole idea behind technology and design is more important than ever based on what's happened. Technology and design needs to go hand in hand. So whether you're working from home, as I mentioned, or you're working in the office, or you're working from your car, or you're working from a satellite office, it's really about being able to have the connectivities and feeling that connectivity, both technology, design-wise, and culturally. Julie, do you want to focus a little bit on focus work and collaborative office space? Maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that's key here. And I think I mentioned in the beginning that I'm actually excited at this new evolution of the office and how the office is changing. And the thing with this experiment is we've learned that focus work can successfully be done in other places other than the office. So we really need to start asking ourselves, what's the purpose of the office? Why do we want to go back to the office? What are we missing? What do we need? So we know focus work can be done elsewhere, but the resounding answer to that question is that we need face-to-face interaction. We need to be able to collaborate. We talk a lot about innovation and how important innovation is to business growth, right? So then we have to look at, okay, well, how do we achieve innovation? Well, it takes creativity and it takes collaboration. Well, who do you collaborate with? Like, how do you find these right people to collaborate with? Well, you collaborate with people that you trust. And how do you develop that trust? You got to get to know somebody. You got to have those face-to-face interactions. So we all need a place to do that. Video calls have been great, but we're all still missing that humanity, that face-to-face, analog. I'm brainstorming on a whiteboard, and I'm taking input from everybody in the room together with me. So that definitely is the key answer that we're hearing to why do people need to go back to the office. So I think this evolution of the office is now coming to be that we really need to focus on these collaborative spaces. How do we enhance these collaborative spaces in a post-COVID world? And it's exciting to me. We've been talking for years about the intersection of architecture and furniture and technology. And I think finally we're there. We can have really good, rich conversations about, how they come together. And I think they're finally going to work together the way they should be working together. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
And Julie, I just want to thank you so much for all of this time that you've spent with me today. I know that the 20 minutes plus that we spent on this interview today, that your preparation goes way beyond that, and I'm extremely grateful. And it's being a designer of color, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity that I have to speak with you and the chance that you've had to talk and help educate me and my peers as well, as we look at design in a post-COVID world. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.